we're going to apply some of the ideas that we've learned with vectors to a real problem. Um, the big thing is that when we're given a vector as an arrow, we can find the x and y components of it using some basic right triangle trig. If you have a vector v and the angle, we can use sine to say opposite over adjacent, gives us that this is v sine theta and this is v cosine theta. I'm writing here because of the magnitude. This is saying that if this is the magnitude and this is the angle, then we can say v sine theta is the y component and v cosine theta. So v cosine theta comma v sine theta is how we can describe vectors. So if we want to calculate the sum of the two forces that we are shown, we can represent each of these vectors as components. And once we have represented those vectors as components, then we can add those two together. So this first one is, let's see. So it's 40 degrees left, or below the horizontal. So this would be the same thing as 180 plus 40. So this is the same angle as 220 degrees. Starting from the positive x direction, going around 180, and another 40, gives us 220 degrees. So 10 cosine 220, comma 10 sine of 220 describes that angle. Or, sorry, the red vector. If we want to describe the green vector, that is 4. And this is, I'm going to treat this as a negative angle of 20 degrees. So cosine of negative 20 and sine of negative 20 degrees. Now it's a matter of applying, calculating those. So cosine of 220 times 10 gives me approximately negative 7.66. Sine of 220 times 10 gives me approximately negative 6.43. Cosine of negative 20 times 4 gives me 3.56. And sine of negative 20 times 4 gives me approximately negative 1.37. Now we can add the components and say, all right, this is 3.56 plus negative 7.66 or negative 4.1, comma, now we add the y components, negative 6.43 plus negative 1.37, negative 7.8. That is the sum, or the sum vector of the two forces shown. So if it was asking for the vector, this would be the vector. Frequently, we're asked not for this, but for the magnitude. How do we calculate magnitude? Well, we learned in the previous video how to calculate magnitude. So we would do Pythagorean theorem or distance formula with this. So 4.1 squared plus 7.8 squared gives us 77.65, and then when we take the square root, we get approximately 8.8. So 8.8 is the magnitude, and if we wanted to find the direction, we could use, this is going to be in quadrant 3, is going to be the location of that vector, and we can use arctangent of negative 7.8 divided by negative 4.1 in order to find the angle. So this is a 62-degree angle. So it's 62 degrees below the negative x-axis. So here's our magnitude, 8.8. The direction is 62 degrees below the negative x-axis. Or you could add that to 180 degrees and say that this is 242 degrees. So that is how we can calculate the sum of two forces. Depending on what the answers are looking for, you can either write it as a vector by breaking it down into the components, and if you're looking for magnitude, you can combine those using Pythagorean theorem. Thanks.